Yo, what's good YouTube? It is your boy Flyer69 coming to you guys today with my NHL 2022 to 2023 season predictions. And we're going to do player and individual awards, and we'll also get into the standing awards and what I think will take place and happen through the NHL season this season. So let's waste no more time, let's get straight into it, and we'll start off with the player and individual awards. And the first award we'll look at is the Norris Trophy winner that goes to the best defenseman. And the victor of that award, I have it being Cale Makar yet again. And then I have Charlie McAvoy second and Mo Seider third. That's a little bold right there. Yeah, I will note some of these predictions are going to be bold. Some of these player award predictions are going to be bold. So I think Mo Seider is not necessarily that bold. I think he'll take a nice step up this year. He had a really good year last year, good rookie year. Won Rookie of the Year, won Calder. I think Mo's is going to have a good year. I think he'll get some votes for the Norris, whether it be third, fourth, or whatever. I have Mo third. Yeah, I was potentially thinking about putting Hedman or someone else there, but I like Mo, and I think he's kind of a shoo-in for the next 5 to 10 years. I think it's the safest bet to go with. So I got Cale Makar winning the Norris. And the next trophy we'll look at is the Jack Adams, the Coach of the Year award. I have Jared Bednar winning last year's winner, Daryl Sutter. Not to say anything yet. I won't get to that yet. I'm not going to say anything about the Flames yet, but usually this award is handed to guys that are just hired to a team and they had a bad year and they turn it around. Usually how it happens, but I don't know. Maybe, I don't know, but I feel like it just has to go to Jared Bednar. I think Bednar, he's just gonna Avalanche will probably win the President's Trophy more than likely. I really like the Avalanche this season, the regular season, and I think Bednar will probably just get the Coach of the Year. It just feels kind of right. I think it'd be safe bet, Jared Bednar, and I have Sheldon Keefe second and Bruce Cassidy third for the Vegas Golden Knights. And we'll touch up on the Knights when we get to them standing predictions, and you'll see why I have them third. Now let's move over to the Calder Trophy, the Rookie of the Year. I have that being Owen Power from the Buffalo Sabres. I really like his game. In the sample size he had last season, he was very, very good, and I think he'll do a phenomenal job this year. Matty Benier second, and I have Logan Thompson from the Vegas Golden Knights third. I think he'll do a really good job holding it down in net. I think he'll be big for the Vegas Golden Knights, and their season's going to kind of depend on him, but I think he'll do a fantastic job, and he's a good player. I really like Logan Thompson, and I think he's going to have a nice year. And the next award we'll look at will be the Vezina Trophy. And the Vezina Trophy winner, I think this year, a little bit bold. It's a little bit of a bold prediction. I think it's going to be Thatcher Demko. I really like Thatcher Demko. He kind of carries the Canucks a lot. And I think Bruce Boudreau, Barbecue Bruce, is got the boys really going. I think Demko's got a hell of a year. I really like Demko this year winning the Vezina, and I got Igor Shesterkin second, and a little bit of a bold prediction here for third, Alexander Gorgiev. I think this is mostly just because how good the Avalanche blue line is and how good their coaching staff is, more so than just him. I do think he'll have a really good year, do not get me wrong, but I do believe just being the Avalanche on the Avalanche and being the goaltender for them, I think he'll have a great year. And being behind that defense, it'll probably help him get some votes for the Vezina, so that's why I have him at third. Now, my Art Ross Trophy winner, this goes to the most points. I'm giving that to Connor McDavid, second, Leon Draisaitl, and Austin Matthews third. And I also have Austin Matthews winning the Maurice Richard for getting the most goals in a season this season. Or most goals for a season. I think that's going to be Austin Matthews. I think that's basically a safe bet, unless he gets hurt. But I think it's going to be Austin Matthews. I think that's pretty safe. And for the Hart Trophy, the MVP of the season, I have that going to. This is basically a shoo-in. If you want to, this is probably the safest. I wouldn't say safest, but if you were going to put a bet on the Hart Trophy, and you're like, okay, what player should I bet on? If you want to you want to have the safest bet, like, okay, this is more than likely going to happen, you're going Connor McDavid, and I went Connor McDavid. I couldn't pull myself through and say anybody else. I think McDavid, he's just a dog. He is the best player in the league by a good margin, and it just shows every year. And he'll do wonders for that Oilers team this year, as he does every year. He's gonna do wonders. I have Cale Makar second. I usually don't see defensemen here for the Hart Trophy, but I think he's gonna be there. I think he's gonna have a hell of a year this year. I think he's gonna put up some special shit. I think he'll have a really good year. And third, Jack Eichel. I have Jack Eichel third for the Hart Trophy, and you can see here, I kind of rate Vegas quite highly. So you're seeing a glimpse here early of my season standing predictions. Vegas might be quite nice. I am kind of high on Vegas, so you'll see where I put them in a second. So now let's shift over to the standings. Now let's start with the standing predictions. So let's start out in the Western Conference. And we'll start with the Pacific Division since I've touched up on both the Oilers and the Knights. And here are my predictions. So we'll start first to 8th. We'll work our way down. I have the Oilers first, the Vegas Golden Knights second, the Calgary Flames third, LA Kings fourth, Vancouver Canucks fifth, Anaheim Ducks sixth, the Kraken seventh, and the Sharks being the worst team in the division. I think that's basically obvious that they're going to be the worst, or if not them, the Kraken. Now, the Knights, the Golden Knights, Vegas. I think they're bouncing back. They were banged up last year. Very much banged up. And Peter DeBoer, he's a mid. I wouldn't say mid because he got a good amount out of that team. He got them to some playoffs, but I don't know. Last year they were banged up. And all these things happened to Vegas, and it was just really bad. Now you got Phil the Thrill. Eichel's going to be fully healthy this year and to start the year. And it didn't help when they traded for Eichel. They lost players that were already playing, like Alex Tuck, and then they lose on that. And that really hurt them there because Eichel wasn't ready. But Eichel's ready to go. They got a new coach, Bruce Cassidy, who did a pretty good job in Boston, in my opinion. He got them to the finals in 2019. I think he'll do very well in Vegas. I think this is a massive year for Vegas to bounce back. And I think Logan Thompson's going to have a very, very strong year and hold it down till Robin Lehner comes back and he can play that. Oh, excuse me. God damn. And he can come back in and maybe play. But last year, Lehner wasn't that great either. But I think this could be Logan Thompson's time to shine and take over the reins in net. But third, I have the Flames. I do think they get worse. You lose Matthew Tkachuk. But you also gain Nazem Kadri, Huberdeau, and you also gain Mackenzie Weegar. But you also lost Jonathan Gaudreau, Matty Tkachuk. Also lost Sean Monahan, but yet again, he really didn't. Doesn't change anything really, but I just think the Flames get a little worse. I think Markstrom might have a down year compared to what he had last year in the regular season. I think he'll probably be a little down. I do think the Flames get a little worse. I don't think they're going to drop off drastically, but I do think they do get worse, and I think it's the Oilers. Oilers are really going to have a strong year. I really believe in the Oilers. Campbell, I feel like Jack Campbell's either going to be really good or really shit. I don't think it's going to be anything in between because usually when I feel like Jack Campbell might be one of those guys, once he gets paid, he might not be the same. It's just what happens time to time, like Kenny Galladay for the New York Giants. It just happens. I think that is a potential possibility for Jack Campbell, and that happens. The Oilers are falling down the list. That's what I'm saying, but I do think, even if he does, I still think the offense can bail them out. Defensively, they're still a little shaky, but they got a little better this year. They made some great moves. They're hoping the goaltender to really save the team, I guess, to maybe go on a run. And is Jack Campbell going to be that guy? If not, I don't know. But Stuart Skinner is going to be the backup, so I think they have an okay fallback option. He's still young. I think he can be very well. So I have the Oilers winning the Pacific. Now let's move over to the Central. And I have winning the Central, the Colorado Avalanche. I think that's pretty obvious. And then second, the St. Louis Blues. Third, Minnesota Wild. Fourth, the Nashville Predators. Fifth, the Dallas Stars. Sixth, the Winnipeg Jets. Seventh, Arizona Coyotes. And eighth, the Chicago Blackhawks. And we have ourselves a battle there for last. Arizona or Chicago. I was debating which team to put last. I decided to go with the Blackhawks. I think the Coyotes are going to be a little better. I think they're going to be a little better this year than they were last year. I believe the Coyotes are going to be, since they're playing in Arizona State, that the atmosphere should be a little ruckus. I mean, you would think it's a college atmosphere. You would think, okay, the arena should be buzzing. And they made a little bit of nice changes to get but they also lost Phil Kessel. I do think they're going to be a slight bit better than Chicago. I think Chicago is just poverty. I think they're going to be the worst team. Yeah, I think Chicago's going to be worse. Arizona's going to be right down there with them. They're both in the gutters, don't get me wrong. And I have Colorado winning. It's basically the top three is the same as last year. I mean, as much as I want to move stuff around to be like bold or different, I mean, you just can't. I mean, maybe the Wild second, Blues third. I don't know. And I think the Predators, I think they're going to have a strong year. And for my wildcard teams, I have the LA Kings being the first wildcard team and the other one being the Predators. I think the Predators are going to make playoffs. They always find a way to do it, and I think they're just going to continue to do it. And they didn't really lose out in Philip Forsberg, and they didn't really lose out in anything big. I think they're going to make playoffs. And they already started off 2-0, but they played the Sharks in Czech Republic, so I don't know. But hey, they're already starting off strong. They're 2-0, so good for them. All right, now let's move over to the Eastern Conference, and we'll start off with, in my opinion, the best division in the league. In my opinion, by far the best division in the league, and that is the Atlantic Division. I mean, this division is loaded this year. It is insanely loaded. I really, really, really like the Atlantic. It's going to be a fun division to watch these teams in the division play against each other. That's going to be a really fun division. All right, winning the Atlantic, I have the Toronto Maple Leafs. They're a great regular season team, and you can see that I have the Florida Panthers falling to third, as I have Tampa Bay second, Boston fourth, Ottawa fifth, Detroit sixth, and it was a toss-up. It could have went either way on seventh and eighth. I went Buffalo over Montreal, but I think Montreal is going to be better this year. I honestly believe all the teams in the Atlantic are easily having maybe over 75 points. I really believe this division is going to be that strong. I think Montreal is going to get better. Martin St. Louis had the team a lot better last year. Yeah, they finished off the worst team last year, but I think Slavkovsky is going to be a nice boost to the team. I believe St. Louis is going to have a full year. Cole Caulfield was really good when St. Louis came in. I think the Canadiens are going to be better. And honestly, I could see myself putting the Canadiens over the Sabres. It's just, I don't know. It's very debatable. I could say Montreal. I could say Buffalo. I can be persuaded both ways. I do think both of those teams are going to be fun teams to watch this year. I think Buffalo are going to be interesting to watch. But Florida, I have them falling to 3 because you lose Huberdeau, which is a big loss. And you also lose one of your best defensemen in Mackenzie Weegar. And you also lose Claude Giroux. They're taking hits this year. I don't think I see them getting any better. Honestly, I was debating about putting them at a wild card spot and having Boston be up to 3. Because I think Jim Montgomery is going to get the Boston Bruins better this year. I highly rate Jim Montgomery as a coach. I think he'll get the Bruins back in line and where they're going to need to be, but Brad Marchand's going to be out for a bit, so I think the Bruins might start off slow, but I do think they'll end off pretty strong. I think Boston should have a good year, and Florida, I'm not that high on them this year. Yes, I have them still third in the division. I still think they're going to make playoffs. Tkachuk's still a great addition, but I think they get worse this year. They lose so many, and they lose one of their best defensemen. I think Ekblad's their best, but Weegar was their second best defenseman, and this is going to hurt them in the short term. Yeah, they might have, right? I think that trade's going to hurt Florida in the short term. Long term, it's going to work out for them. But short term, I think Florida's going to take a step back this year. I don't see them being number 1 or 2. Fuck, I was thinking putting them in a wild card. But I'll keep them at 3. In Toronto, this has to be the year. This has to be the year for Toronto to do something. If not, Matthews might be looking good in an Arizona Coyote jersey. I'm just saying, he might be looking good. If they can't get the job done, 2024. That's all I gotta say. He might be a Coyote. Or a King. More than likely a Coyote. And now let's shift over to the Metro. I couldn't really... I was struggling to figure out who I should put number 1 or 2. Because this is debatable for me. Because I do believe both of the teams at the top 2 positions got a little bit worse. It's still a slight bit worse. I think both of the teams at the top 2 got a slight bit worse. So winning the Metropolitan Division, I have the New York Rangers. I have the Rangers winning the division. I did say they might have taken a step back just a slight bit. I still think they're going to be a great team. Do not get me wrong. But I just think they get a little bit worse. Just a little bit. They lose Andrew Kopp. He was a fantastic addition in the second half of the season. Now, they add Vinny Trocheck. Good replacement. But I do think they're just going to take a slight step back. Just a slight step. Nothing too major, but I do think the Rangers are going to take a slight step back. Maybe. Or about the same. They're going to be right about the same as they were last year. I do think the Hurricanes take a step back. They got Brent Burns who made all these interesting decisions, bringing in like Brent Burns and some of these older guys. I think they'll fall to 2. I think the Rangers are going to just take and win the division. I think the Hurricanes just get a slight bit worse. Freddie Anderson, who knows how he plays? He played really good last year, but he's getting older. How well is he going to play? Who knows? I'm not that high on the Hurricanes. Personally do not view them as a cup contending team. I do not. I do not value or rate the Hurricanes as a playoff contending team. I do not, one bit. And at 3, I have the Pittsburgh Penguins. 4, the Capitals. 5, the Devils. I think the Devils are going to take a step up this year. I like that Devils team. They should be a fun team to watch. Obviously, Jack Hughes, electric. His brother might be coming up in the NHL at some point this season, probably after the college season, if not opening night. Yeah, I think he's playing college this year, if I'm correct. But I like the Devils a little bit. I think the Devils are going to get a slight bit better. And at 6, I have the Columbus Blue. Do I have the Blue Jackets at 6? Hold on now. Do I have the Blue Jackets at 6? I'm honestly forgetting. I have to pull this up now because there was one of them I switched around after. Oh, that ain't it. Oh, that's not that. Oh, is it this one? No. It was the Atlantic I switched around. I had Montreal 7, Buffalo 8. Okay, yeah, that makes sense. All right, it was the Islanders 6. I did flip these around. Islanders 6, Blue Jackets 7th, and the Flyers should be at least 12th. I mean, it's going to be a drop-off between the Blue Jackets to the Flyers. I think the Flyers, I've stated this numerous times, which is why I'm doing them for the franchise mode. They are dog shit. I could say this easily because they're my favorite team, but boy, oh boy, is this going to be a long season for the boys. I don't see us doing anything remotely productive. I think we're just going to be absolute dog shit. I don't know. So I do have Montreal 7th. I did switch them around because on my paper I'm looking at right here, I have Buffalo 7th. So this is throwing me for a loop. But okay, yeah. Montreal 7, Buffalo 8. It might be tied or a point in between the two. Like I said, I think the Atlantic's going to be strong this year. I don't think there's going to be a bad team, a certified terrible team. Maybe Montreal might be bad, but I don't think there'll be a bad team in the Atlantic, and obviously in the Metro. The Blue Jackets, yeah, they got Johnny Gaudreau, but I still think they're still young. They've still got to develop a little bit, but they should be a fun team to watch. Gaudreau and Line. I could easily see the Blue Jackets jump up into the top 3. They're one of those teams, like, they're either going to make big progress this year or just maybe stay around the same, but I do believe that the Blue Jackets can easily jump up the board. I genuinely believe they can go into that top 3 and make a playoff run this year. I think they had the opportunity and chance to do so. I wouldn't be too shocked if that happened. And for the wild card in the East, I have the Boston Bruins and the Ottawa Senators. I have the Senators taking up the second wild card spot. I want to throw a little bit of curveball, but I also think the Senators are going to be an electric team to watch. Giroux, Brady Tkachuk, DeBrincat and Giroux have been buzzing together. Josh Norris. I really like that top 6 for the Senators. I think they're going to do wonders. Goaltending, Philip Gustafsson. It's going to be a question mark, but I think Ottawa will do better this year, and I think they're going to make the playoffs. I like that Senators team. I kind of rate them quite high, and I think the Senators are going to do quite nice. And my Stanley Cup final predictions, the 2 teams I see being the last 2 standing, representing the West and the East, I have it being the St. Louis Blues taking on the New York Rangers. I think this is the year, the opportunity for the Rangers to really make that step up in the playoffs. They are a very good playoff team. I said they're going to get a little worse. I said regular season. But yet again, I also have them going up 1 position. That was kind of counterintuitive. I think they'll be just as good this year, obviously, in the regular season. But they did get a slight bit worse. But I do think this is the year for them to step up. I think something's going to happen with Colorado. I don't know if whether it be injury, whether it be, maybe something's going to happen. Maybe Gorgiev doesn't do as well when it comes time to in the playoffs. I think the next team to take that step up in the West would either be the Blues or maybe Vegas Golden Knights. I know that's hella bold to say this year, but I think Vegas is still going to be very good. I got them probably representing the Pacific Division going into the Western Conference Finals, more than likely. But so I have it being the St. Louis Blues and the New York Rangers in the Stanley Cup Finals, and my team I think is going to win is the New York Rangers. I think the Rangers are going to win the Cup. I feel like this is their chance to take the step up. Now they got the experience. They went to the Eastern Conference Finals last year. I think they're going to take that next step, go to the finals. And if they go against the Blues, I like the matchup, and I got them beating the St. Louis Blues in the Stanley Cup Finals, becoming your 2022 to 2023 Stanley Cup champions. Thank you guys for watching. Make sure to hit that like and subscribe button. I'll see you guys in for the next one.